So let's start our show with this Monday night review, which, you know, I know it says Monday night review on the screen, but it kind of starts with last year's Super Bowl, right? Because when you lose the Super Bowl, you get a little bit of a hangover. Well, and the question is, how do you adjust? Well, as we saw last night, the San Francisco 49ers can adjust on the fly, to say the least. And it started with the shocking news 90 minutes before that the calf strain that Kyle Shanahan let the world know about on August 6th to let everybody know Christian McCaffrey's dealing with a calf injury. Pardon me, calling it a strain, but it's a calf injury, and he's not going to play in the preseason, and he's not going to be doing much in training camp. And then cut to September 6th, last Friday, Christian McCaffrey telling the media that the calf injury is not that big of a deal to him. And then smash cut to 90 minutes before kickoff last night, and he's inactive. He is inactive.
What?
And the only question is, how can the 49ers adjust? Well, first things first, we saw in adjusting after winning the coin toss, they decided to give the ball to the opponent first. So that's a good start. And certainly because you're putting your defense out there, and they're just as good as your offense, and you're wondering how the 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury is going to look. And sure enough, the Jets do go 3-and-out. And their offense struggled a little bit. And just when you thought maybe, just maybe, they're missing Christian McCaffrey, you start seeing, oh, they can adjust, not just with Deebo Samuel, who has adjusted his uniform numbers. A little weird to see the 9 gone from his uniform.
Yeah, that took a minute for me to be like, oh, number 1 is
who's this draft? Who'd they draft? Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, took me a minute.
It was Deebo Samuel out there running number 1. And he was number 1, and the backup to Christian McCaffrey was dropping number 2 on the Jets defense all night.
Hey, now.
Jordan Mason. A lot of folks might not have heard of him. A lot of you folks out there in the fantasy world might have gotten him as a backup in case McCaffrey wouldn't answer the bell with a calf injury.
That's Chris Brockman and I. We did that.
Okay.
Best ball.
Well, guess what? He did last night. How do you adjust without Christian McCaffrey? You take your third-year undrafted player out of Georgia Tech, and you give him the ball more times than you've given anybody the football in the organization since you've taken over as head coach of the 49ers. As a matter of fact, the last guy, it had been 13 years since the 49ers handed the ball to the same running back 28 times in the game. 28 times. And he runs for 147 yards and a score. And Deebo Samuel's doing his multifaceted stuff. And voila. Christian McCaffrey can sit there, standing there, looking handsome, with an earbud, and getting healthier. For your defending NFC champion 49ers, who, by the way, signed their holdouts. Maybe this is a cautionary tale for the Bengals. You sign your holdouts, you pay them, you get them ready, and you got folks like Trent Williams, who does every snap anyway at age 36. Apparently he needed an IV in the fourth quarter. It didn't matter. Yeah. So did the Jets defense by that point. And Brandon Ayuk, he dropped one in the end zone for a touchdown.
Peyton Manning was so pissed.
But other than that, those guys look pretty damn good. And fresh reminder who they still have back who's really damn good. They're Bosa. That's one guy. Yeah. And you know who's really, really, really good? And I might be missing a really. It's a guy named Fred Warner.
Oh, jeez.
Who's everywhere, who Peanut Tillman won right out of Breece Hall's hands.
Oh, that play was so sick.
That led to the first 3 points of the night for the 49ers. And you know who's also really good? Brock Purdy's really good. Brock Purdy, there wasn't a single... Dude, you can move your head like that all you want. Like, oh, I don't know. I will say this, man. I'm sitting there all night. I didn't have a single doubt that this guy wasn't making the right move, that this guy wasn't making the right throw, that this guy wasn't seeing the field, This guy is in full, complete command of this offense. Yes, it helps to have a running back take 28 carries and run for 147 yards and a score, and to have a wide receiver who runs downhill like he's Derek friggin' Henry, and even when he's tackled for loss on an end around and he's running around and the Jets are trying to track him down like a group of security trying to throw a streaker down on the ground, and he's running around for 5 more seconds than you think. He runs right into Sauce Gardner, who then suddenly leaves the game for about 10 minutes because he'll leave a mark on you. Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback, folks, and don't be surprised if he doesn't wind up as an MVP finalist this year again. You and I, Chris, can disagree on this for as long as you wish to disagree on it.
I mean, they kicked like 6 field goals.
I understand they had problems in the red zone, that he didn't put it in one time. It's because he dotted one to Brandon Ayuk, and Brandon Ayuk dropped it. And I am not concerned when you see a week 1 littered with quarterback play that was no bueno. Prior to the Westwood One broadcast last night of this game, I'm conducting my studio host duties, and I asked Kurt Warner a wide open question for week 1. The macro question of what do you pull out of week 1, Kurt? What do you want to hit on? And he says, I just watched the tape of every game before this one. I've seen it all, and it is the worst week of quarterback play I may have ever seen.
Wow. It was not great. What,
and that's
2 guys at 300 yards this week?
And this is why I look at what Brock Purdy did last night and say, that's really good. I didn't sit there and think for a split second that he wasn't in full command of what Kyle Shanahan wants. And you know who wasn't? Jimmy G. A lot. And who wasn't last year on occasion? Brock Purdy. He has improved. Niners, just like the Cowboys, just like the Eagles this past week 1, Lions at the end, Rams as well, showed that, and the Bucks too, showed that, hey, there might not be a lot of change in the NFC playoff picture from one year to the next. There's always a lot of change. I don't know how the NFC might be kind of chalky unless the Bears can catch the Packers, who don't have Jordan Love for a bit. Right now, the NFC looks pretty chalky to me after week 1, but obviously there's a lot more to go. But so far, Niners can rest Christian McCaffrey and still boat race an opponent that a lot of people think can make the Super Bowl. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.